welcome to the 16th episode of Sawdust Nation with AJ from Crafted in NJ and myself, Josh, from North Country Woodworking. Wow, 16? Right after 15? Next is 17. I'm learning how to count during this podcast. Well, we both had an interesting week and we've done some things that we normally don't do, especially with the podcast being concerned. But before we dive into that little special, I guess we can call it. Do you want to call it a special?
Yeah, we could call it a special. I mean, it is special.
It is special. I think so too. So let's talk about what's in your shop, man. What do you got going on?
It's a ton of flags like always. I keep getting orders for them, which is really, really good. I am slacking on a couple orders. Actually, not so much orders. The makers never forget flags are being behind at this point. I still got to get everything cut, glued, then carved out. The weather hasn't been in my favor to carve anything out, so it's kind of a blessing in disguise so I can get other stuff done around the shop. Just got an order for another coin rack, which will be made out of ash. As you saw in one of my recent posts and stories, I did a small flag out of ash, and I'm telling you, the way it came out, the way it tooled, it's beautiful. It's of course, a heavier flag because it's harder wood than pine, but the way it looks is definitely, it's on point. So I think I'm going to do a coin rack. It's going to be 3 foot wide, about 19 high, and everything's going to be made out of ash because, I mean, it has so much character to it compared to pine, and it burns well, so you still get the burn effect, and it takes stain incredibly well as well. So besides that, I got a lot of CNC projects, including that Tools Today flag that I now have to re-render because when I rendered it the very first time, I made it 2.5 inches thick and didn't realize that my material is only 1.5 inches thick. So now I have to go through the whole thing. I have to start from scratch so I can make it the way I need to. But of course, why would anything work in my favor? The Tools Today logo is not importing from the email that I got it sent to. It's not transitioning over to my computer for some reason. I can't open it. There's a lot of stupid issues that are going on with it. And then besides all those projects, I got the French cleat wall. That's coming along amazingly well. I keep throwing little things up, here and there. And next thing I know, I turn around and the whole thing's getting filled up like crazy. I'm actually going to install another one over by the CNC as well to get a lot of stuff off the bench. And because I have a little box there now attached to the wall, man, that box just collects and collects and collects. And it's too big. So
are you talking about the box setup by the door that leads into your CNC? Is that what you're talking about?
Right next to the door, that's going to stay for now. But right behind the 3D printer, there's that just 2 cubbied box.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a junk collector, really. I put it up there because I had too much stuff on the bench and I wanted to kind of organize. So I'm going to take that down, put cleats up, and then get it kind of organized up there. And it's nice because, I made some 3D printed hooks, some cups. So for pens, pencils, and the hooks I can hang cords on. I'm going to do a little spool holder for the 3D printer. So it's going to work out a little bit better than my current setup. And I mean, the French cleat just proved itself, to be so versatile and so helpful just in the shop. I mean, I got so much stuff on that wall, but I can literally take one glance at it and go, okay, there's the bench cookies. There's my branding iron. I don't have to dig for anything like a shelf, A shelf is literally, you just keep piling and piling and piling, and next thing you know, you have to get the thing that's on the bottom of the shelf. So now you have to undo everything. So It's a good learning experience. I really like it. It's definitely something I recommend to whoever has a shop and they want to make a wall of something to hold all their tools. Definitely. I wish I had more room. That's one thing. I wish I had a larger area so I could put a bigger board up and have more cleat. But I mean, you saw it.
What I noticed about when I put mine up, I put almost everything I had on there, trying to get it off of my bench and stuff like that. And what happened was I actually started running out of room for the things I needed the most to be on there.
Yeah.
So I had to basically reconfigure it and, rethink how I was doing mine. And I got, pretty much an even amount of things I use and things that are just up there for now. But That's something you might have to consider too. Something you're not using very often. You might have to find that drawer
Yep.
that, on the bottom of your tool chest and just leave it there. And then that will make room for the next router or whatever else you're going to throw up there.
Yeah. I actually had my circular saw in my hand and I'm going, oh, I can make a cleat for that. And then I'm looking going, how many times do I use it? Actually I just put, I didn't post anything about it, but all my air nailers, I've been using them like crazy because I'm using them for the French cleat, making all the little boxes and stuff. I did make a holder for it just so they can be in plain view. I mean, do I use them all the time? No, but they didn't take up so much room that like I have to worry about, okay, well, I added those and now I can't add anything else. I still have a ton of room.
Yeah, but with that particular tool, I mean, what I do is, what I find, I guess would be a better way to say it, is it depends on the job I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
There are jobs where I'll be using it throughout the entire thing, and there are jobs where basically I won't touch them. Like right now, they've collected dust because I haven't had a job that needed them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're worth having on a display or within eyesight. That way, you can take a look and be like, oh yeah, that's where they are, and just go pick them up. Because I had my pin nailer in a case.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to store it, like right above my tool chest under my bench. And I wouldn't use it. And then when it was time to use it, I'd be like searching around like, oh, I know I put it around here. Yeah. So it's a good idea. I mean, those are one of those tools that are good to have in sight.
Yeah. And, the last thing about the cleat wall, it was nice because I usually work with my back right towards the wall. So I needed something. I literally turn around and there it is. I don't have to search for it like you just said. Because I would do that. I would put something down or put it away, not remember I put it away. And next thing I know, I'm looking for it going, okay, I know I just had it. I just used it. So where is it? And it's nice to be able to turn around, look at the wall, go, okay, there it is. And if you don't change up your wall, like every single day, it's going to be muscle memory. Okay, I know this is to the left. I know this is to the right. I mean, even just like my little painter pyramids, that hold up the piece. It was nice. I didn't have to search for them on my bench underneath everything. They were right in front of me. So I took a few off and, used them and then put them back to where they needed to go. That was my biggest thing. I wanted something so I had a spot for it that I knew they had to go back because if I didn't, then they'd kind of get lost. So definitely a French cleat is the way to go. And I can't wait to get the other one hung up. Hopefully this week's, because I'm still off from work for the staycation honeymoon. And so, hopefully I'll be able to get that second cleat wall up. But, that's all I got going on. So what do you got going on in your shop?
Well, this last weekend, I was a little bit busy. My brother had a bachelor party. So we went up and we actually did a little bit of grilling and sitting by a campfire and relaxing for a little while. And then I took a little trip right down the mighty Mississippi. Not quite, but close enough. And I went south. And ended up at someone's house.
Whose?
And he had I don't know. It was some random guy I know. I met him on the internet. It seemed safe.
Craigslist?
No. So I got to see your shop. And I got to see how, you were doing things. And we went over a couple different things. And it was interesting. Got to see the mighty CNC and the 3D printer with, its long arms and... It was printing a whole bunch of stuff. It was cool. It was nice to see, it's weird because anyone listening to us, we've met once in person.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was at that wood show. But yet, we've been doing Instagram Live and, this podcast for a minute. So I was up north going south, figured to stop by, say hi, take a look at the shop, see what you're up to. That was fun.
Yeah,
it was good to
you saw how small the shop is, compared to what you think it is in the videos.
Let me tell everyone that's listening, this man in front of me, the man that you're listening to on the other side of the mic, he makes his shop look huge compared to what he's working with. Now he's told me the size of his shop, but watching his stories and his videos, you would never have guessed it. He is a magician with a camera.
I don't know about magician. I mean, I mean, I can make stuff look okay, but I mean, you should see me doing stories. I must do like 37 takes of it. So I'm glad that I'm a magician of it, though.
You're a better man than me. First take. I remember when I did my first ever story, I actually did like 37 takes. And then, after that, I would do, a couple takes. Then I got to the point I'm like, if people are following me, they're following me for me. With my blunders, my mispronunciation, whatever, it's me. It's Josh in the raw, whatever you want to call it. So that's that. But going on for the rest of the week, so that's the majority of what I was doing. But got home, relaxed, slept a little bit, and then actually got in the shop. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I actually got to do a little bit of woodworking.
Whoa.
If you follow along with what I'm doing, I went out there, kind of cleaned up a little bit, did some chamfers on my bottle openers. Got those basically ready to be finished in some kind of finish. Not quite sure what I want to do with those yet. If I want to do a kind of oil or if I want to do a polyacrylic or whatnot. But, I got everything basically done. I got to do a keyhole in the back or a couple keyholes, but that's about it. So the majority of the work and sanding has been complete. So that felt nice. Close to the end of a project with them. So it should be fairly soon where I can actually put those up for sale. Nice. But before I went to my brother's little shindig, I did do a 3D print of a figure, a little alien figure from the movie Aliens. And basically, the reason I went with that is because if you ever watch the movies, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about, there is a lot of detail associated with, that creature. So that was one of the reasons I did it. It was also broken apart so I could actually print it. Like I wanted to do some of these more detailed figurines for my 3D printing. And it turned out great. I had some, misprints in the beginning, but once I figured out how to position them, it turned out really good. Like I have the detail. I didn't really have too much finishing with them, glued it together, and I'm happy with the result. So, nice. I've learned enough there. I'm going to try to move up to a better STL file with a lot more detail and then just continuing until I, learn and, master the CNC. Mm-hmm. So, that's about it. That's what I got going in my shop.
I have to ask because this happens pretty much every time we talk about 3D printing. How close did you come to running out of filament on that?
Well, it's a brand new roll and it's very small figurine. So I didn't even blink at the amount of filament I used.
That's good.
And I really didn't use that much because I really paid attention with what I was using for a fill. Mm-hmm. For some of it was down to 10% fill and some of it was the highest was 30%. I made sure that, especially with a test model like this, I wasn't utilizing the amount of filament I might use in a finished piece to, sell somebody or give as a gift or something.
Yeah. Well, that's really good. I'm still experimenting with the infill because, I'm sticking with like about 20% on everything I do. And I actually had a misprint because what happened is one of the edges of this certain print was lifting, so it never really stuck. And I don't have a heated bed, as you know, but I was trying these little magnetic pads that the company says that they're specially designed to work with hot filament. And let me tell you, they worked out great. They didn't work out the very, very first time months ago when I first used it, but I tried it again. I said, let me give it a shot. For like the first 3 prints, it worked actually absolutely well. And then after, I guess, the 4th or 5th one, the edges started to curl. And I guess at some point, the nozzle must have knocked it off. And I walked back in about half an hour later, and there's this ball of filament. I took a picture of it. I got to post it up. But this ball of filament just floating, all over the bed of it. And I'm going like, you got to be kidding me. So, that was my little misprint on it, but it was at 20%. So I took this tiny little piece and tried squeezing it to see how strong 20% was. It took a lot of force to actually break it apart, and it was real thin. So I figured, literally 2 fingers and you could squeeze. I actually had to take both my hands and try squeezing it, and it finally let go. So I was surprised at 20%. And you're using a regular PLA filament?
Yeah, hatchback or hatchbox or something like that.
Hatchbox.
Yeah, there it is. If I had my glasses, I probably could read it, but yeah, just the regular PLA filament from them.
Okay.
I'm not looking for strength.
Yeah.
I'm making sure that like if someone dropped it, is it going to break?
Yeah.
When I do the stuff for the garage, now that's different. When I did the sander, I did 20, maybe even 30% on that because I'm going to be taking it in and out of the holder. I might not take it out all the way one time and, jar it a little bit. So I wanted a little bit more strength.
Is that for the DeWalt? I got water filters on my brain, so I almost said, is that for the DeWalt reverse osmosis sander?
Yeah.
RO sander.
It's a new model.
You get filtered water with your sander.
Yeah, it tastes really good.
Oh yeah.
DeWalt ROS. So
yep.
Basically what it does is it's like a holster. It basically slides in, slides out. It's pretty easy. I like how it hangs, and I can just wrap the cord around it, call it a day.
You find that on Thingiverse?
I did, and I'll send you the file.
All right, cool. Because I believe you and I have the same exact sander. So even though I have my Mirka, I still use the DeWalt for my wavy flags because the Mirka does not like a foam pad. You remember that foam pad I sent you? I picked up another one at a 6-inch, and that Mirka was like, nope, I'm not using that thing. I mean, why can't I think? What does RO stand for?
Random orderable sander.
Oh my jeez. I am so sorry about that. But anyway, it was not orbiting at all. It wasn't circling. It just sat there just vibrating. And it was my DeWalt one still moves a little bit. So I guess just how it's geared. I don't know. But I still use the DeWalt, even though I do have the fancy Mirka. And I would like to put that up on the French cleat. I think that's where it's going to go.
No, I'll save you some trouble. I have it already, and I can just send it to you, and you can print it.
Nice. Hopefully it fits on my bed.
It should. Yeah, it should. I think it would.
Okay.
If not, I'll print you one, send one.
Cool. All right, man. So speaking of CNCs, I think, I don't know where you want to go with this. We can go one of two ways. We can go with the special route, or we can go with the extra special route. How you feeling?
Well, I was going to go with the episode special route, and then extra special route would just be dropped in there and see if people pick it up.
Wow. Just like you did to me the other night where I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a little bit fun.
So, anyway, let's get into this special episode.
Okay, man. Well, I did the intro. Why don't you announce what we're talking about here?
Well, as everyone might remember, last week's episode, we were talking about the Inventables X-Carve Pro that is coming out. It's a 4x4 or a 4x2 machine that can carve up to, on the 4x4, that you can carve up to a 4x8 sheet. And as Josh is yelling at me through the other side, I'm guessing you're saying that 4x2 can do it as well because it's 4 foot wide, 2 foot deep.
Yes.
All right. So that's my mistake. So both machines can do a full 4x8 sheet of ply. Now we were kind of jarring our brains going, how is this possible on a small bed and you have this 8-foot piece of material, meanwhile you only have a 4-foot bed? Well, we reached, actually, I'm going to give Josh all the credit. I can't take any for myself. Josh reached out to Inventables and, explained who we were, explained our celebrity status, and we got a full tour of the Inventables. No, I'm just joking. We got a conference call with the CEO of Inventables, and he explained the X-Carve Pro to us because we had a few questions about it, and then we wanted to bring it to you guys so we can tell you all about it and what we learned. So as everybody's kind of wondering, not why, but how is a smaller machine able to do a 4x8 piece of plywood? Now, I have, as everyone might know, the Millright Mega V, which is only a 35 by 35 cutting area. In theory, I could kind of do the same. I'm limited to my width, but on the Inventables, it uses the easel program, which has a special feature of tiling. Now, tiling is in other programs, but what they did was they incorporated it all into one. So easel, which I've never tried, I'm going to after talking to the gentleman on the phone. I'm definitely going to give that a shot because I learned easel is an all-in-one program. It's a CAD, a CAM, and a G-code sender. So I think that's that to me, because now I'm using Aspire, and then also I have to use a G-code sender. So now it'd be nice to literally just build it, make the toolpath, and send it all in one. I mean, it's not like I have to go to multiple computers and do this, that, the other thing. But the easel, I'm definitely going to give a shot with. And the tiling feature is included in that. And what it does is it makes work areas. And once it hits those, correct me if I'm wrong, because I was paying attention very well in our phone call. But the tiling feature is that it'll hit that limit and then let the user know that it is time to advance the piece of material. And they do. I was kind of also curious until he answered it on how can you make sure that you're lined up correctly. So either you can pin the workpiece, which would be a better option, or you can have a screw that goes through your workpiece into the spoil board. He was explaining that the screw option is a little bit more sloppy, that the pin is a press fit pin that has no slop in it, and that you'd literally advance the piece to the next tile, hence tiling, and then it would carve the next section out. And that's how you can get away with a 4x8 sheet of plywood. I like it.
Yeah, it's a great system, and I just want to clarify a couple of things.
Yeah.
The program will actually drill the holes for the pins for you,
Yes.
so that you do not have to do it manually, and it'll be very accurate. The same thing with a threaded insert is it would drill that hole for you, and then you would insert a bolt or holder there. There's a third option, which is, or you can do mark and measure, and it has a feature where there's a 1-inch overlap, and basically it's going to carve or accomplish that 1 inch. That way you're not going to be missing anything during your carve. Those are some ways that it has to ensure that you're not going to mess up your carve while you're doing the tiling feature. Now, talking to the CEO, he also told us that once these machines get shipped, the rest of the X-Carve series will have the tiling capability. So be on the lookout for an update. If you're using easel, that might help you out as well. I don't know how that's going to incorporate with any other CNC machines. From what I understand, it seems like if you can hook up and use your machine with it, you should be able to utilize that as well. Now, during their design, which again, a lot of other CNCs have, they allowed for an open end back, so you can in-feed and out-feed the actual piece. Because depending on what size you need, you're going to need to go through the back. Now, the one thing you would have to provide yourself is an in-feed and out-feed table depending on your workpiece. That does not come with the machine in any way. They did stress that you would need to have that in-feed out-feed table because a piece of plywood would bow and your cuts would start getting incomplete or not correct. So yeah, one swoop, he answered our questions really well. I mean, like we asked him, I think the original question is, how do you do a 4x8 sheet on a 4x4 bed? And he just went and answered, like our 10 questions that were associated with that one.
I had just 3 questions, like literally written down one after the next. And I asked, I think, my middle question, and he hit on the middle. He literally, without him knowing, went to the very first one and the last one. And that's why when you asked me what other questions you got, I was like, well, he kind of answered everything for me all in one. And he wasn't, what was it? He wasn't like afraid to give us information on it. I mean, whatever questions we threw at him, he was openly answering them. It's definitely a nice machine. It looks beefy. He explained, certain characteristics of it that they upgraded with upgraded ball screws. It's a nice machine. It definitely is, and I can see it being useful with the 4x8 feature if you're going to use it. Now, the 4x8, it was kind of like, well, why didn't you just make a 4x8 machine. And his thing was that a lot of people, if they did, because he went into, when they were designing this, they went into production shops where they're using a larger machine and they only usually utilize a half of that or even less. So their thing was if they could have a machine that they're capable of doing a 4x8 sheet and they can still have a smaller footprint, it would work better for them because they're not using that full capability all the time. So having the 4x8 capability, whenever needed is a nice feature in a smaller footprint. Like you said, the only thing is you need an in-feed and out-feed table so that the plywood doesn't bend and screw up your carves. But if you're in a shop, a big production shop, then you probably have roll-around tables that you can utilize for that. So it's a nice machine. You can definitely see where the possibilities are. Are you getting one?
Not the Pro. He also went into, we'll get into it. He also went into the actual spindle. If you read on the site, the spindle is air-cooled and not water-cooled like a majority of the CNCs out there. So that was one of my big questions going in, was asking him, what was the deciding factor in that? Now, if you know anything about water-cooled spindles, there's tanks involved, pumps involved, and something I did not know is you actually have to clean out the tanks twice a year.
Yeah.
And people like it easy. And he actually liked it. When I said that, he said they absolutely do. So they went with they tested both. And under testing, air-cooled spindle did just as good as the water-cooled. And they were doing what? He said 18-hour testing?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and he said it performed just as good and there's less work involved with it so that the user, you, won't have to do anything other than utilize the machine. Now, he said, like anything, there might be a point of failure if you're using it, for 26 hours and that spindle doesn't get a rest. It might overheat and, you might have a spindle down. Mm-hmm. He said there is a warranty involved with that once you buy the machine and that they will replace it. So with that warranty and with their reasoning, I can definitely understand why they went with the air-cooled spindle, which initially kind of took me aback. He seemed knowledgeable in the fact that both spindles were good spindles, but the air-cooled would definitely, match up with any other spindle out there. Mm-hmm. What I found interesting in what he did mention is that spindle is capable of cutting to a depth of 3/4 inch through Baltic birch while it does its cuts. That's a pretty deep cut while, doing its tool path. So they did this and they measured it by looking at the chip load, which is the thickness of the chip that comes off the bit. And I forget what actual bit company they use, but they used what they had in stock. And what they did, and I think other programs have this as well, but in Easel, there is a option for automatic and manual. So when you do your tool paths and everything, you can choose the settings on there, and they should come up with that bit setting. Mm-hmm. So that makes it kind of nice, but I believe that your program you're using does the same, and for Amana Tools, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And when he said that, I was thinking the same exact thing. Currently, the Millright does not have a spindle on it. So if it did, it would utilize the speeds and feeds that the bit by Amana is designed for. So with the router, as you know, you set it for one speed. I mean, if you read a lot of the forums on, especially the Millright, they pretty much say set it for one number and you're kind of good on everything. I kind of find that a little true. Would I like to have the versatility of a spindle being controlled by the computer, knowing what feeds and speeds? Yes, 100%. Because as you saw in my shop, I carved out a large badge and I set the feeds and speeds a little too high because I remember setting them lower on a certain carve, and for some reason I saved them. So they were generated again. Well, I upped those feeds and speeds quite a bit, and I learned the hard way that it took a lot of material off. It chipped some things. It definitely was hard on the machine. I mean, the whole machine took a beating. It went through it, but then my piece suffered because I was going too fast. So if I had a spindle, then it would be nice to set it for that, specific bit. So as Vetric has it for Amana, they have it for their tool company. I don't remember either what kind of tool brand they use, but they are industrial, I believe industrial cutting bits that he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of this company's primary focus. So if they're making industrial cutting bits, then you know that they're going to handle, a smaller machine like this.
Oh, absolutely. And going through it with him, he also started to mention the price point because, it is quite a bit more than the first X-Carve. And I was asking, without going into too much detail, where were they going with this? Basically, the X-Carve, the original, is more meant for the hobbyist. This is more meant for a business cabinet shop, ready to, upgrade to a machine that takes up a smaller footprint, but can do a 4x8, a larger machine. And that kind of explains of why they beefed it up the way they did, the spindle, and some of the other features that you see with the X-Carve Pro. Now, the price is about 45% off for both the 4x2 and the 4x4, all the way to November 5th. Mm-hmm. So if you have a business and you're looking for a really beefy machine that can pretty much handle anything out there at the moment, it might be something you want to look at because 45% off is a pretty big discount. Without that, it's going to be in the 10K range. So go check it out, take a look. And for the hobbyists, they did the 45% for the hobbyists. For the people out there that may not be able to spend the 10K because they don't have a, full-blown business. Mm-hmm. They work with a firm, which is a lending agency, and they extended the usual terms to 48 months. That way, you're buying it for 45% off, and you have a length of time to pay it back and not right away. I think the math comes down to $116 a month. So if you sell one piece, maybe two pieces a month, you should be able to cover that and more. Mm-hmm. Another note I kind of really want to put out there is the easel. The easel program is also free. I mean, there's different levels to it. I think you can get a pro version for a paid membership, but there is a free account out there. Now, I don't know what features it has versus the pro. I may be able to figure that out and let you guys know on a different time. But it's worth looking into. Like AJ was talking, it's a CAD, CAM, and a sender all in one. It's for Mac, Windows, and Linux. Mm-hmm. The user interface is much easier than a lot of different other programs out there. And, it might be worth taking a look.
I actually, while we were talking, I downloaded Easel, the original one. And right off the bat, it's really nice. What it is web-based, but you don't need internet to send the file. So if you already did it, if you already made the file elsewhere, you can still grab that file and send it without internet connection. It looks very nice. It's very easy on the eyes. There's not a lot of stuff where I know in, Vetric, that's a full-blown program. Aspire. And, that's got tons of buttons that when I look at it, I only know the certain few. This is actually really nice. I'm definitely going to play around with it, see what I can come up with. And I want to try it for myself with doing, sending it to my machine, seeing how it'll be. It's really, really nice. I definitely say download it, see how you like it. And, then we'll talk about it on the next podcast too. Because I kind of like it so far.
Yeah. Because the next podcast, you could do the free version. I'll do the paid version. And we can, use our CNCs to see what we can figure out there. Mm-hmm. But one of the other big price points in the CNC, it only takes about, I think, advertised for 4 hours. But he said that results are coming back that people are able to do it in 2 hours. Setting the whole machine up, getting ready to print, and then going. So it's very user-friendly. And he even boasted that one individual did it in 45 minutes and was cutting. X-Carve Pro is a very business-sided machine. So if you're looking to up your game, I would check them out. The price is right now. And I mean, if you can't afford the, $6-7 grand out of pocket, there's ways to go about affording it. I can't think of anything else to touch on that. What about you?
I was going to mention about that as well, the 45 minutes to, one guy did it to put it together. I mean, that's incredible. I know the Millright took me, if I pieced it all together, it took me a solid 12 hours to put together. I mean, that was me going piece by piece with it, making sure nothing was messed up. To hear that you can even put this thing together in a couple hours is amazing.
Yeah. Time is money.
It definitely is. One thing I did not ask was, but I think I saw it on their website, was the Z height. What's the thickest piece you can go? Because I think it's only 4-inch. So I know that the Millright was, when I first got it, it was very shallow. Like if you added, because I have an aluminum T-bed, if I added a piece of spoil board at 3/4, my Z travel was so limited. So I actually had to raise my gantry up by about 4 inches. I think I have a total of maybe 6 inches of travel at this point or something like that. I could be completely wrong. I just haven't measured. So, but I mean, it looks like a solid machine. I know there's videos out there. I still haven't watched them. I would definitely like to. And, but I keep looking at the Ziesel, and there's a few little things here and there that, I'm clicking on. It's actually really, really nice. It's real-time rendering. That's how I would describe it. So if I change one little thing, like the depth of cut, it literally changes as soon as I click off of it. It changes it on the next screen without me having to recalculate. I guess it kind of does it itself. So it's really, really cool. I can't wait to try this out because it's something new. And I want to give it a shot. And then I can let you know how it works out, too.
It's just 4 inches.
Yeah.
The Z-axis. But we've both experienced what a different program could do for a CNC machine. Mine for my laser, you know what I'm saying? And I think you've discovered that with your CNC as well. So this might open up some new roads.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to seeing how, that program, what it has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about CNC, we did actually get a question in from MJRustic Designs. He was asking me, he's getting into 3D printing or like to, and he saw that I had the Ender 3 Pro, and he wanted to know for a beginner, what would be better, Ender 3 Pro or the V2? Both Creality products, and we went through kind of like the pros and cons of what I have and what the V2 might offer. The one I have, I've had to upgrade quite a bit to get to a place that I kind of want it, and it still does not have all the bells and whistles that would make it nice to have, like having a filament sensor when it runs out, and these little things here and there that would have made a difference, especially with some of my printing. The V2 boasts that it has the sensors, it has 2 fans on the hot end. It has a pretty good size printing bed, heated bed. It's basically mine, but, upgrade quite a bit. And a lot of the stuff I've already upgraded with mine, the V2 already has. So it is more expensive. I think it's a $200 difference between the two. But I kind of pointed him in that direction, especially if you don't want to sit down and have to upgrade your machine and just, print and play.
Yeah.
We also went over the Prusa and showed him that, that also has a good track record, and he's doing himself good if you got one of those as well. So I just wanted to, thank him for writing in and asking the question. MJ, appreciate you listening to the podcast and following us on Instagram. And anytime, man, you have a question, feel free to, shoot us a message and let us know.
Yeah, definitely. We were talking about the Prusa. I'm hoping that Santa Claus brings me a nice Prusa.
Yeah, Santa Claus already got me my Christmas birthday present, anniversary present, probably my next birthday present. So that should be coming this week. And if you caught on to what I was talking about earlier, I'll be getting a CNC machine in from X-Carve, and it will be the normal X-Carve, not the Pro, because, I still consider myself more on the hobbyist side than the full-fledged business side. And I really want to learn before I start spending $7,000 on a machine trying to create a business there.
You're getting a CNC?
I am. It's almost like, I told you the other day. So a little backstory here. We were talking through Instagram. We're prepping for the call to the CEO, X-Carve. I'm asking what kind of questions, and I'd hint here and there. I'd be like, hey, So I hope they at least send us a sticker so I can put one on mine. These little tidbits to see if he could pick up what I was laying down. Needless to say, he did not pick up what I was laying down.
Nope.
We got around to it, and I let him know that, we ordered a CNC. It'll be here this week, which, let me tell you, their shipping is incredibly fast. We literally pressed submit on the payment yesterday, and I'm getting it Wednesday and Thursday.
Wow. That's crazy.
It literally shipping out stuff an hour after we submitted the payment.
Wow. An hour?
An hour.
Jesus.
Because I looked at my wife and I'm like, do we really want to do this? And we looked, and shipping confirmation and a bunch of other stuff popped out. I'm like, well, that's happening.
Oh, well, I guess there's no turning back now. How many phone calls did you make to Inventables to have them ship that thing out like ASAP so there was no turning back?
Absolutely none, man. It's impressive. I've ordered a lot of things and doing this, and this is the first time I can literally say I'm impressed. Now, will it be delivered on Wednesday and Thursday? We'll see. But that's what the FedEx codes they gave me says. Wednesday and Thursday, I'll be getting a whole bunch of packages.
I mean, hey, if FedEx says it, then maybe it'll definitely show up. I mean, that's incredible. I know my Millright was, so delayed because of packaging issues. Then it was a Kickstarter, so that took a little bit. I mean, I had so many issues trying to get it from FedEx, and hopefully they handle it with kit gloves, because I know sometimes FedEx is a little bit rough on their packages.
Now, if you talk to Tom Hanks.
For a second, I'm like, where are we going with this? And then I remembered, oh, yeah, that movie.
I think we have another question, do we not?
I believe we do. I believe we have a couple of them, Josh. So.
Well, I mean, we could talk more about my CNC, where I'm going to put it, but we'll be here all night because,
we could. Well, all I want to say to Santa is if she is listening, it's an original Prusa i3 MK3S. Hint, hint.
I don't think she heard that. You might have to say that a little bit louder.
No, she's not home right now, so I have to say it. So when she listens to the podcast, then she'll get it. Because she keeps asking.
Say it 3 times for the podcast.
Yeah. I should just drop it in there. All right, so we got another question from Trails Custom Woodworks. And if I was prepared, like Josh wanted me to be, I would have had it up on my screen already.
It's okay. We can definitely...
I got it now.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go.
So Trails asks, my question for you today is on how you would glue up 2 live edge slabs together. I recently had a customer reach out to me and ask me to make a slab coffee table, but I have to cut the one live edge widthwise, then cut the 10-foot slab in half to 5 foot long, then glue it up so both pieces of half slabs. So I'm wondering how you would clamp the live edge slabs back up without damaging the live edge with clamps. And then he's also wondering how far apart you would place biscuits for biscuit joinery. Thank you guys so much, and keep up the great work in the shop and with this awesome podcast. And I believe he put 4 exclamation points. That to me is a win, my friend. That to me. Anyway.
I don't know. One more would have made it.
Right? Anyway, so we got to take a whole slab, pretty much chop a center of it out so it becomes a little shorter or widthwise. And the way I would is, I mean, you could, in theory, I have seen people do it where they kind of put a block of wood like on the live edge and hot glued it so that you don't ruin the live edge, and then it becomes a flat surface to clamp off. Yeah, I've seen it done. I could be wrong, but I'm not.
Can't really apply that much pressure to that then, because that hot glue is only going to hold so much.
All right, so now I sound like an idiot, Josh.
I'm sorry. No, I mean, it's an idea. You only have to apply so much pressure. I mean, you don't want to do what I did with that one flag and
I still think of that every time I glue up. I think of how hard you were squeezing those clamps together. Those clamps, they must be screaming when you were doing that.
Oh, they definitely felt a sense of release when I took the pressure off.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, you could. I mean, okay. So if you got an angled edge, how are you going to put a flat clamp without damaging it? I mean, I was going to say you could use a ratchet strap if you didn't want to, have clamps, because if you're using biscuits, technically, once you get it pulled together, it's all going to hold. You don't have to worry about it slipping apart. Am I just sounding like an idiot tonight? Because the looks you're giving me, I don't know.
I'm sleeping. Don't even worry about me.
No,
I like the ratchet slap idea. It definitely would work. What I would do is I would put a piece of wood between that and the wood. Mm-hmm. That way it takes the pressure and it actually spreads it out a little bit more and not on the center, on the actual live edge. And that would give you the pressure. And you can actually apply quite a bit of pressure with a ratchet strap.
Yeah.
The biscuits and the spacing, honestly, I wouldn't have a measurement for you, man. It's more of a feel thing. Some people go absolutely ridiculous with them, but I would just
every foot.
Inches? Oh, you're saying every foot?
I mean, he's got a 5 foot
every
piece.
6 inches, every 8 inches.
Yeah.
Just enough so that you have a good alignment there. Yeah, that's how I would do it. I definitely wouldn't go crazy with it and do it every 2 inches, but every 5, every 6, I'd maybe do it. It might be a lot, but I mean, at least then you have a definitely locking piece together.
Yeah.
Now, if I had a Festo Domino, I'd probably do 4 or 5 and call it a day because those are thicker. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to line those up. Mm-hmm. I might overdo it on the amount I do. I don't know.
Yeah. I
don't think there's a right answer for this one.
Not really, no. I mean, you can go every inch if you really wanted to. I mean, you could put a biscuit next to a biscuit. I mean...
You just have a line of...
You would have a
cutted line, yeah.
But I'm really trying to think of how you would clamp it together because if you have that live edge, I mean, you can... If it's flat on the bottom and then just the live edge is angled towards the top, I mean, in theory, you could cut almost like a 2x4 with the angle in it and the flat so that it kind of holds the live edge and make it contact not the tip of the live edge, but kind of up at the very top of it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you catch on because I'm not. I'm talking about it and I'm not even catching on to my own thing.
But, okay, so basically I think what you're trying to get at is you basically take a 2x4 or a piece of wood and create a cut that would allow pressure to go above the thinnest piece of the live edge. And that way you're not going to break off the thinnest piece or damage it. Yeah. And your pressure is going on the thicker piece, which will allow it to generate more pressure and create a better, not seal, but seal.
I mean, and now you don't need a ton of pressure. I mean, you don't need to put a cheater bar on the end of that screw and, hoof on it till the bar is bending. You just have to go enough until you see some squeeze out and you're good.
Yeah, and basically when you see that squeeze out, you know that the glue is spreading and then there's enough pressure. If you're doing that and you see that it's not closing, the gap is not closing completely, then you probably don't have a jointed edge the way you wanted.
I was just going to say
and that's a whole different problem that you can deal with later.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we kind of got that one. The biscuits, I mean, as close, as far as you want. There's really no wrong or right. And then the way I was talking about that edge clamp was like a Pac-Man. Think of Pac-Man. It looks kind of like that. I think we hit that one on the head or on the live edge. But
he has jokes, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy. All right. So now we also have some other questions if you want to get into that. You talked about your CNC. We talked about the Inventables. This is kind of a recap for everybody and us.
I have questions.
Oh, yeah, you did say that. You had CNC questions.
So North Country Woodworking has written into the Sawdust Nation podcast, and he left a voice clip. Hey, you guys, let's see here. I'm getting a CNC, and the first question I wanted to know was, what kind of bench should I buy so I can carve the day I put it together?
What kind of bench?
Was it my accent?
I think you said bench or bits.
Bits. What kind of bits would you get? So the day of putting the CNC together, I can throw on a piece of scrap wood and go to town.
To be honest, you know me, and this is not because I still have to make that flag for tools today, but I would 100% go with Amana bits. Anybody you talk to, that's the way they go. I love them. I have not had any issues with them. I'm knocking on wood. I have not had one fail on me. No break. They cut clean. So I would highly recommend to go Amana bit. But if you don't want to break the bank, there is another company, and I don't remember. I also, Whiteside makes some bits, and Bits and Bits. I'm trying to remember which ones they sell. I think it's Whiteside. They also have some really, really good bits. Jonathan Katz-Moses uses them on his CNC. I believe Walker Woodworks uses them as well. And they don't have issues with them. So I would say Bits and Bits for the white sides, or you go Tools Today for the Amanas.
Nice. So what would be the first bit you get? Like, if all the bits out there for a CNC, what would be the best bit to get to do basically general purpose CNC work?
One thing I did, and this is me looking it up in a pinch because Josh didn't tell me this prior, but I'm going to let you know the CNC bit set that I got when I first got into it. I mean, I immediately ordered this, even though my CNC came with one. I didn't want to use it because, of course, they're probably going to send you the cheapest one they could find. It's probably broken already, so I didn't want to take the chance. I got my own, and it was by Amana Tools. It was a set that they sell, a 3-piece set. It has 60-degree V-bit. It had an 1/8 inch down cut end mill, and it also had I think a 30-degree engraving bit. I think it has like a 0.0108 tip width. I mean, the thing is microscopic, but it works exceptionally well. Actually, here it is now. It's the Amana Tools part number AMS 109. It's also called Matte 4-piece CNC starter pack, and they might have changed it on me as well because this one comes with a slightly different bit.
But anyway, I mean, like that would be a good starter point for someone getting a brand new CNC, right?
Yeah.
So when the price point on that was probably like what?
It's $125.
Okay, so I mean, like, and those are the Spectra bits.
Yep, Spectra coated. It has. I know it came with an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch down cut. It came with the 60-degree V bit, and then also that engraving bit. So you get a lot for your money. And if you price them out, they kind of come to about the same price, a little bit cheaper because you're buying it as a pack. And the V-bit, knock on wood, I have not changed the bit yet, and it still cuts flawlessly. I'm still on the same 1/4 inch down cut, the same 1/8 inch. Actually, the 1/8 inch is what did your whole sign on that flag. And you can see how clean it is. Really, I can't complain with them. I will say it's a very, very good starter bit set, especially for what you want to do. You could do V carving, you could do engraving, and then you can do cutouts as well. So I have to say it's a very good set.
Yeah, we have to take a look at that. Let's see where you placed your CNC. What considerations did you have?
Where my CNC went was kind of, I could not fit it in my shop, so I had to put it in the back room, and it was kind of where it fit. That was my biggest thing. Where it fit and how far away it was from me. As you know, you saw my garage and my back room are not far from each other. The suckiest part about where it's at is when it carves and it's like going through ash or oak, it is very loud. And it, you can hear it upstairs. Kim doesn't mind it, but it is loud. So that's my only downfall of it. I don't know if you're going to put any soundproofing around yours or anything like that. There's been thoughts of it, with mine, but I don't even need it. I could do it the way it is. But really the biggest factor of where it landed was where I could fit it. And that was the only spot I could fit it.
That's pretty much where mine's going to end up landing is where I can fit it.
Yep.
I do plan on doing an enclosure. I'm not sure exactly the details of that. I just have to build a place for it to land when it gets here, essentially. I know for a fact it's going to be a bench for it to sit on. And then underneath it, I think I'm going to store my paints and everything so I can get rid of that nice little place I've been storing all that and have a little bit of organization. That's something I got to go out there and kind of rearrange and see where it's going to fit best.
Yeah. So. I was going to say, you'll definitely find, a spot. And are you going to make a rolling bench?
Yeah, I think I want to make it so it's rolling. That way, like if I do need to do a bigger piece, I can get it out of the way and put it back. Because, I don't have the CNC yet, but I'm guessing there's going to be at least 2 power cords.
Yep.
And it's going to be the CNC itself, and then the router, and then I guess 3, a computer that I choose to sacrifice out there.
Yeah.
So
I would definitely, when you build your bench, definitely go on Amazon. I can even send them if you're not sure which ones they are, but leveling feet. The reason that I say that is because even if you have it on casters, once it's in the spot, then you can level it just in case, your floor is out of whack a little bit, and then your top is 100% level. Yeah.
So that's another question. I mean, like, other than, do you have to level the CNC bed, or is it like, how perfect does the bench have to be in order for it to function correctly?
I made sure, without doing a full torsion box, which I really, really wanted to, but I was not able to, I actually jointed all my 2x4s so they were flat on top. And then while assembling it, I put a level on it and then made sure each one was complete. I didn't level it to the floor. I leveled it to the surface. So I made sure everything, I only used the level so it kept it nice and square to each other and flat. And then I used MDF for the top because MDF is flat. It's not going to bow. And then I made sure once I started to level it, that my whole top was level corner to corner, side to side, front to back. And the CNC, I did not have to do anything to it to, per se, level it, other than just make sure my bench was level. And that was it. I don't know how the X-Carve that you're getting is. I don't know if maybe they have feet on it. Is there little adjustments here and there? I'm not sure about that. I know on the Mega V, there was none.
Yeah. I'm going to have to obviously get into a little detail on that and figure out exactly how I'm going to do it. But so I have at least one bench to put in the workshop, and I still need a place for my sander. I'm going to have to do some reorganization in the workshop to get everything to kind of fit where it needs to go. I'm actually considering taking my planer off the flip top that I currently have and making a flip top, much like Peter from Petrie Workshop has his, having a dedicated bench for just the both of those. That way I can utilize the space next to my table saw for other stuff. Put some drawers in there, maybe a cabinet in there, put some tools, and then maybe get some stuff off the walls that I'm not using awful lot, or something I can use on that bench. Because I like the work surface, but especially because it's like my in-feed, out-feed table for my table saw. So I don't necessarily want to get rid of that. I just want to find a better way. Or just, do a flip top with nothing on top for my drum sander. So I might just build a cart just for the drum sander and have the other side just be for sanding purposes and not move so much around. So there's going to be some changes, obviously, to fit everything and have a spot. I still got to figure out power and how that's going to be used. I'm curious if I could run the CNC and then run something on the same circuit. I'm doubtful. We'll find out.
Yeah.
If it goes dark for real quick, then I know. Is there any kind of recovery on those things? Like if the power goes out?
I don't know. And that's probably one of my biggest fears right now, especially going into this Tools Today flag, because I'm not sure. I don't believe so. I think it kind of does what your laser did. But the thing is, with my computer, I'm kind of, I'm playing with fire. My CNC and the computer are all just plugged into the wall. I have no battery backup to them. That is one thing that I have to get. and will be in the works because I want to get a battery backup just in case. Because where I live, for some reason, it was fine the very first time I moved, like the very first year I moved here. And now we get like little power blurps that come through every once in a while. And it's scary, especially when you're running that CNC for a while. You don't know what's going to happen. The computer will recover, it'll pick back up. But what's going to happen to the, CNC brain? I have no idea, and I really don't want to find out.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest concerns because we actually lose power quite often in the housing I'm in. It's not uncommon to be like, biggest storm of the year, be fine, and then sunny day, all of a sudden you lose power.
Yeah.
So, especially that day that I lost power and my laser was a 14-hour job. It took 4 hours for me to figure out how I was going to go back and reaccomplish that. Mm-hmm. It's a concern of mine, and finding the power, finding the place, and doing all that is going to be, I think, it's going to be a project. But luckily, I have a whole lot of wood already in my my shop, and I'm going to be using, the scrap 2x4s and everything like that. I already plan on joining everything to make it nice and, fit. Mm-hmm. For this thing, I will be building a very nice little enclosure for it, but I'll be trying to do it with what scrap I have because I have a lot, and I think I can build something very nice of what I have.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, you just want to make sure it's flat. And then, like I said, get leveling feet just so that you have that extra security of knowing that it's going to be flat, especially if your garage is a little wonky and whatnot. Because I know once I put mine flat on the ground, I do not have wheels on mine because I knew I was never going to move it. I mean, the only place I can move it is literally out, like forward, and then back to the wall. I can't move it anywhere else. The bench is too big to fit through my door. The bench is too big to fit kind of anywhere else. So the only thing I added was leveling feet because I knew it was going to live there. But yeah, definitely leveling the feet. Make sure that everything's jointed. Make sure that you level. Like I said, the biggest thing this, but make sure that you level it to itself and not to the floor because then you'll just make a wonky bench and then wonder why it's not level.
That's actually when I built the bookshelves, my first two big projects that got me into woodworking. I was using the level the entire time. I was doing everything. Finally got done, and I stood it up, and I put the level on it, and it's not level. Yep. And I'm sitting there, and I'm racking my brain. I'm like, it's all square. There's just no way it's not level. Like, I don't get it.
Yep.
And I brought it into where it was going to be, and it was level. Then I brought it back outside, and it's not. I'm like, it's a garage.
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly
not just me. So the garage is also my workshop, so I am definitely going to have to make sure it's level to itself.
Yeah.
But what I've been stressing about mostly is the what kind of bits I should get, the placement, the electricity issue, if it's going to lose power, what's going to happen, how my circuit's going to hold up when I use other equipment. There's some things I'm going to have to work out, but it's going to be growing pains like anything else.
Oh, yeah. I definitely say... the Spectra-coated Amana bits, definitely the way to go. Like I said, I know Pete's using them over at Petrie Workshop, and he loves them. I fell in love with them as soon as I got them because, they cut so smooth. Those V-bits, once you use them for the very first time and you can see what they do, it's amazing what a little... Because you've seen it. It's like a replaceable knife that's in there. The only issue that I ever had with that V-bit, and it was a 60-degree V-bit, is I'm looking at the carve and it's a little bit strange, not its normal, like, kind of clean look. And I must have ran it too fast into something, and when it plunged, it actually kicked the knife in a little bit. So the very tip of it was actually pushed in. So all I had to do was loosen it up, reset it, and I was good to go. And knock on wood, it hasn't moved since. And the other nice thing is they're replaceable, so you can replace the knife edge, so you don't have to replace the whole bit.
Yeah, I think actually with the purchase, I got some bits that come with it that I purchased in addition. They're basically the bits they use. So I'm going to go ahead and use and abuse those, get some projects out, and then once I can pay for that alpha project, I'm going to definitely go ahead and get those bits.
I'm telling you, look at Bits and Bits. I know that. They got a lot of good stuff as well. I have ordered other stuff. I ordered Dremel stuff from them. Just never anything for the CNC. But I keep seeing them, on everything, on all the videos that I watch, that they keep mentioning white side, and I definitely am intrigued by them. They do have coated bits as well for longer life, and that they don't get so hot so quick, so that the edges stay sharper. So it's definitely something else to look into. And everyone's got their own preference in it. You can go nuts if you ask somebody, because one person's going to say one thing, one person's going to say another. It's kind of whatever you like.
Yeah, it's basically what you have experience in and what's working for you. So, I'm hoping that the bits I got will do me just well enough to get through some projects and get some cash flow out of this thing and be able to buy the better bits.
Yeah.
But that was the plan. I want to be able to carve once it's all together and set up. I have some stuff I need to get through. I'm going to put this thing to work right away.
That's good.
So I'm hoping easel is as easy to navigate as I keep hearing, and that the bits that I'm getting with it will function, accordingly and make, a great product.
I think we got enough on that CNC. I know you're excited about it. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with it. Do you have a project, real quick, do you have a project in mind for your very first carve?
I do. Absolutely do.
Is that going to be a secret, or are you going to tease the people want to know, Josh?
Oh, let's see. So I will give a hint. And the first person that reaches out to me with the hint, other than you and my wife, will receive one free sticker. You might receive a free sticker, but there might be something else in the envelope. You're just going to have to, try and see. So the hint is, I've done this sign before. It didn't turn out the way I wanted to. I reaccomplished the sign, and it still didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So if you followed me for a length of time, you should kind of have an idea what that might be. And if not, you can go through my, not my stories, but my posts and kind of get a feel for what I'm talking about. And the first person to reach out to me and answer that will get an envelope, and there will be a sticker in there. Maybe something else. I guess you're just going to have to wait and see.
Is there going to be a Prusa printer in there? Because then I will definitely enter this.
You can't enter it only because you already know that I told you. And no, I just bought myself a CNC. I can't afford a printer for you, my friend.
Oh, man. I was going to say, I'll just have Kim message you. I'll just tell her what it is, and then she could win that nice Prusa.
All members of North Country Woodworking, Crafted in NJ, and the Sawdust Nation that do the recording are not eligible for this / giveaway game.
Oh, man.
Please refrain from entering or sending any messages or hinting to the public.
Oh, I don't think you know my personal Instagram. Boom. Anyway.
Oh, man. Wait, that's not fair. That's cheating.
No, it's not. It's utilizing the tools that you have on hand, sir. And with that, I do believe that we're going to wrap this episode up. So,
yeah.
Let me.
So,
whoa, no. You can't. I got it written down right here, right in my notepad. I do contacts, you do final words, sir.
Well, fine. Just because it's in the contract that we don't have. But
Josh is so excited that he wanted to talk more about his CNC, tell you all about it, and keep going on with it. But no, if you want to do the contacts, I'll do the final words. It's no problem.
No, final words. I promised you one thing. I keep my promises.
Go
ahead.
We were only doing this.
Just remember Apple. Remember Apple.
Geez. Oh, that's why he didn't want me to do it.
Yeah. Already.
Anyway, if you want to get in contact with us, you can message myself, AJ, over at Crafted in NJ. I always want to say New Jersey, but it's NJ, Crafted in NJ. And then who are you? You're Bob, right? Bob Smith?
Yeah, I'm from Bob's Woodworking.
Anyway, you can reach me at Crafted in NJ. You can reach Josh over at North Country Woodworking, or you can reach us at the Sawdust Nation Podcast on Instagram. If you want to send us a message with a question, a comment, and an addition, if you want me to be deleted and Josh's cat added, send it to our email at sawdustnationpodcast@gmail.com. If you listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, preferably 5-star, because the higher the stars, the higher we go in the podcast nation. And then Sawdust Nation will be across the nation, because we are going to one day become celebrities, and then we'll have millions and millions of followers. I'm already there, so, I mean, it is what it is. I actually have my name at the Hollywood Stars, just so you're aware.
Really?
No, not at all.
I mean, like, is it in your sim game?
What is this, 1990s? Sims.
Why not?
Anyway, if you want to send us a message with a question, preferably send it with a voice memo, because then we can play your lovely voices over the airwaves and to everybody else who's listening to this. If you're not comfortable with sending us a voice message, you can type it out and then we'll read it on the podcast on the next episode. It could be anything woodworking related, 3D printing, CNC, as Josh is now getting the CNC, laser engraving, anything you want to talk about. We're here to answer your questions. And if we don't know, we will butcher the hell out of it until we don't get it right.
Until we look it up on Google and get the answer. Or YouTube.
Anyway, any final words, sir?
Well, I hope you enjoyed this special episode talking about the X-Carve Pro and the X-Carve. If you have any questions, like AJ said, feel free to reach out. We're here because we're all part of the Sawdust Nation. Sawdust Nation out. See ya.
Have a good one, everybody. This was a great episode. I love you all. See ya.
Wait, we're done? Oh, I had another question. Oh, man. Oh, well. Next time.